Here in the corner of this wonderful area of Mayfair, in the very heart of London, literally British film history was made, because it was here that a series that started way back in the early 1960s but really was thought about in late 1959 by a man that truly shaped British cinema, Harry Saltzman, lived here. And it was here that Sir Sean Connery, as he became, literally got the role of a lifetime and changed his life. Let's find out more. Harry Saltzman was a larger-than-life character. Many people likened him to really the Hollywood mogul Louis B. Mayer. He spent millions, he created dreams, as it were, and he didn't really care how he got the money, as long as he made sure he got the money to make the dream look like a reality on screen. Way back in the late 1950s, he managed to persuade none other than Ian Fleming to finally turn his book, Dr. No, into a big screen adventure. But there was a problem, you see. They couldn't actually find the person who they wanted to be James Bond. Now, a lot of people thought this was a shoo-in, really, for somebody like Cary Grant. Well, you know, there he was, debonair, enigmatic, good-looking, naturally. This was the choice, allegedly, of Ian Fleming. And as I spoke to, of course, Lucy Fleming, his family member, she backed up these particular stories. But what was interesting about this was there was a man literally being brought in at the 11th hour, a little bit rough around the edges, a former bodybuilder, very good looking, but with a very strong Scottish accent. And apparently, Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli, whose house and office for a short while were here in Audley Street, were unconvinced. But then Sir Sean did something rather interesting. See, the thing about Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli, Cubby was seen as the more, shall we say, charismatic, whereas Harry was the one that might put the thumbscrews on you to get the money. Nothing wrong with that, as you can imagine. But basically, for £50,000, he managed to get the rights to the Ian Fleming book. And as I say, he was looking for somebody, literally a big star name. Let's not forget at this point that he'd already set up his own production company, but some of the movies, like The Entertainer, which had starred the brilliant Sir Laurence Olivier, had not returned their initial costs, even though he felt they were going to. He was always on to the next big thing. But both Cubby and Harry could not have known what was going to walk through that door in Audley Street. As I say, Sir Sean Connery did walk through that door, but he wasn't particularly impressed. He certainly wasn't impressed with the £3,000 fee that they were offering. Now, this was all an act, because Sir Sean pointed out to me that he desperately wanted to get a bigger movie role. He didn't really understand how big James Bond was going to be. He'd heard of the books, but he'd never bothered reading them. Now, what truly happened was this. They had him read through and they thought they didn't see him as Scottish. Ian Fleming didn't see him as Scottish, and that really wasn't working, to be kind. So they went back to their idea of Cary Grant. But it was Cubby Broccoli's wife and Harry Saltzman's wife that then spotted Sean Connery working out in a nearby park, coming back from shopping one day, and realised that actually Sean Connery was definitely all man. They brought him back in, he did another reading, and finally they decided, well, yeah, we'll take him on. But there was a bigger problem, because the backers, Warner Brothers, amongst other companies, didn't know Sean Connery. Was this what we were going to back this for money with? And sadly, for Sean, it looked like he was going to lose out. Guess who? Sir Roger Moore. They looked at Roger Moore and thought, well, maybe he could do it. He was already a relatively known name and soon to become the saint on television, so you can understand. But apparently Sir Roger was too English for the role. They needed somebody a little bit tougher and rougher. And finally, as you now know, history was made. But it was literally through these doors that all the major stars of the day, so many from Sophia Loren, Peter Sellers, everybody came to Cubby and Harry's offices. Now, these particular offices now to rent are some of the most expensive offices in the world, but certainly in London, retailing up to £750,000 a month. I kid you not. That's the area. It's strange to think, though, isn't it, as we talk about blue plaques and all of that stuff on the show here, that there isn't a blue plaque to commemorate that actually Bond was born on this street and in that house. Imagine if we'd never had Sean Connery as Dr. No. Would it have been as successful? Should they have gone with David Niven or Cary Grant? Both brilliant actors, but were they truly Bond? And we have Harry Saltzman and Cubby Broccoli to thank for making that dream, again, a reality. Not just for Sean Connery, but for many Bond fans around the world. And definitely, this is one of the things that I would want to visit if I was coming to London in search of James Bond. Now, I'm off for a dry martini. Well, actually, some jammy Dodgers and a cup of tea, but you try your best. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.